Oh, what is going down? It's DJ Ash Noble here. Welcome back to another live. It's actually a very late live. It's just been one of them, um, just sort of like one of them days where like I've just not had the chance to come live, and then every time I've been thinking like I'll come live, like just something else has cropped up, or someone's reminded me like you need to do this, and um it's just been one of those, like it's been an enjoyable day, but it's just been one of those days that like not sort of went how I planned it to go when I woke up, put it this way. And yesterday, I just didn't get a chance yesterday either, because yesterday I actually became really, really unwell, and it was really strange because like I became really unwell, and then it was like this morning, everything just was like I hadn't been ill. Like it was just really weird. So I'd done my gig. Obviously, we're going to talk about the aftermath of that in this stream. But I linked up with the layman yesterday, late afternoon, early tea time, and I was a bit peckish, so I grabbed something to eat and I grabbed a drink, and everything was all fine. And then I when we took a drive, we just sort of like, let's do something. Was a bit tired, but was like, let's do something. So we took a drive, and we actually took a drive to Withensea, which is a place I've actually never been before. And we've just parked up by the beach, and we was just sort of like talking and planning about something we're gonna do that's gonna involve a beach. And we were just sort of talking about it, and then all of a sudden I just started to like really quickly become like unwell, to the point where I just getting like a massive headache. I started burning up. I started getting a bit of toothache at this side, which that's sort of normal anyway. I need to get into a dentist. I've got like an issue at this side of the mouth now. And I think about this time last year, I had an issue at this side of the mouth, and I had a tooth pulled out. And I'm getting a little like pain at this side of the mouth sometimes when I eat, sometimes when I drink. And yeah, I just got like this bad toothache. I got a really bad headache. I was burning up. And then I literally said, look, to Liam, and I said, look, I actually don't feel well. I better take me home. And we had to keep pulling over on the way home, so I could be sick, and I was actually spewing up. And then I actually got home, um, managed to take some paracetamols, and put a fan on, and crashed out. Eventually went to sleep once the tablets had sort of started to kick in. Woke up about 2:30 in the morning, and I sort of felt a little bit better than I did. And I think I went down and got a drink, and then came back up and crashed out until till the morning again. And felt quite a lot better today. Just like, so, it was almost like it was like a real short migraine, or something just passed over. I don't know if it was just maybe like tiredness. We'd had a late night the night before. I'm just not completely sure what it was. But anyway, enough of that. It's late as it is, and this is the aftermath of my booking with Retribution. So Retribution took place on Saturday in Wakefield. It was obviously an event that I'd been booked for, and it was MC Dowling's birthday bash, and they'd thrown this party and put this rave on for Dowling's birthday bash, and they'd put this lineup together, and it was a good lineup, and it looked like it was going to be a good event. So I was obviously looking forward to playing it. and I got booked for the last one, and then sadly they had some issues with the like club licensing or something, so I actually wasn't able to, play my set. I was on a later set, and then they put me on this next event. They put me on a later set, and then some things changed at my end. So I said, look, is there any chance I could get like an earlier set or get like a swap? And cut the story short, a DJ had pulled out, so I was actually able to get an earlier set. So I actually did the first set, which, I haven't got an issue with doing like first sets as such, but sometimes they can be a little bit boring. Like last sets and first sets are not always like the best sets to do, because sometimes like with a first set, you sort of like you're playing to quite an empty club, because sometimes people are still coming in. Sometimes if it's like a really big event and they've like done really well and like the tickets have sold out, sometimes like 20 minutes, half an hour into your set, you can have like a pretty busy dance floor. But sometimes especially events that aren't all that big, you can play like for the first set, you can play to like quite an empty crowd, and then sort of like second set starts to fill up a bit, and then third set is quite busy, and then fourth set is maybe like the busiest, and the fifth set is still quite sort of like busy, and then it'll maybe sort of start like like dying out again. So I'm always a bit skeptical, but because of the situation, I was basically, I got the chance of getting a lift and then going on to another event. So I sort of took that sort of opportunity, and I said, yeah, look, I'll do the first set. That's convenient for me, to do that. And what I was gonna say is I'm actually glad I did. So I arrived at the venue, and the venue was already open, and there was a guy playing like house, like deep house and tech house, and playing like commercial house tunes, and was actually smashing it as well. And the place was actually fairly busy, as it was already, and then we was taking over at 9. So I was a little bit skeptical, because I thought, this guy's playing like commercial house, and then I've got to like I'm coming on at 10 o'clock. Sorry, not 9. I'm coming on at 10, and I'm like ramping it up to something a little bit more, like a bit harder and a bit more sort of ravey, like we're going up to sort of like 150 like bounce, as opposed from sort of like this guy was, I think he was maybe playing at something like 128 or something, and I pitched up to 155 bounce, and obviously I'd planned a set, and then obviously after sort of hearing the guy playing house and stuff like that, I sort of thought I have to sort of like read the crowd a little bit more, and it's not just about me coming in and playing these sort of like big heavy drops. So I still started with my original intro tune, which was a remix of Faithless Insomnia, and that sort of went down a tree. It was a little bit skeptical at first, because I think people was a little bit unsure, and they didn't really understand what was going on. Like this guy's just come on, and the whole vibes sort of changed from sort of what it was before. And I think a few people was a bit like, a bit skeptical, like do we stay, like are we staying at this night, or are we gonna like move on to another place? Like, I'm not sure about this. And then it sort of like kicked in, and then I think like they saw a couple of other people like having fun and enjoying it, and then a lot of people actually decided, what, I actually like this, and decided to sort of like join in, and it just sort of went on from there. But I sort of vibed the set just a little bit differently. So like I still played quite a lot of the tunes that I'd planned to play in the set. I just sort of changed the order around a little bit to sort of like because I think the way I'd sort of originally planned the set is there was like sort of like well, my first track was the Insomnia, and then I went into a remix of with Dave Curtis. He did a remix of Heaven is a Place on Earth, and then after that it goes into something a little bit harder. So I sort of stepped away from that and then went straight into like another sort of vocally tune, and I went into Days Like That and stuff like that, and it just sort of made the set a little bit more enjoyable because people was obviously there was recognizing the vocals, and it was still something that they could sing along to. Whereas if I'd maybe gone for something a bit more harder, and gone a little bit more hard edged throughout the set, it might have sort of made people like sort of think, what, I'm gonna leave and go elsewhere, like this is a bit too heavy for me. So I thought if I sort of stick it to playing a lot of well-known stuff, I thought then I'm gonna be on to a winner essentially. And yeah, the set went down really well. It was actually it was definitely by far for me one of the most enjoyable sets I played, just because I had a really good crowd of people that was dancing around and throwing balloons around, and there was just like a really enjoyable vibe, and I actually felt at home behind the decks as well, and I just felt like it was almost like the fact that the crowd was kind of like energetic as the set went on. It was like the crowd's energy was giving me more energy, and it was like I was smiling behind the decks, and I was like, do you know what? I'm actually really enjoying myself. I had a little bit of an error with my USB stick, and it was the same error that I was telling you about when we did the aftermath of Reflection, and I think I've diagnosed what the issue is, and the issue was actually a fault caused by me, and I think I know what's happened. So if you remember, if you did watch the Reflection aftermath, I was having an error where it wouldn't read some of the tracks, but it was like showing there was there in the folder, and what had happened is. At home, I've got like a black USB stick. I've got a black stick, and essentially, cut the story short, the stick corrupted. So I put like loads of tunes, new tunes onto this stick, and it corrupted, and it wouldn't load the tunes on my decks, and it would load the folder, and all the track names would be there, and then you'd click on the tracks, and like nothing would load, like nothing would be there, and then when you tried to delete the folder out of the USB stick, like it wouldn't let me delete it, so I had to reformat the stick and delete the stick. But in the moment of time when this first happened, I was doing a radio show, so I needed like a quick solution to so I could still do the set that I was going to do on the radio essentially. And anyway, cutting the story short, I went on to my analyzed USB stick, and I analyzed a folder and called it New Bounce, and put all the new stuff on that I wanted to play on the radio. And when I put it onto the decks, it wouldn't find the new stuff, because with my decks, you don't need to analyze like a USB stick to play the tracks. But if you do put an analyzed USB stick into the decks, it will still load tracks. It's just the folder names are a little bit weird and different. But it puts a folder called Unknown Artist on the stick, and when you open the folder, it gives you like about nine. It gives you like all your tracks essentially. under sort of like one folder, so you can still get all your tracks easy enough. So I thought if I put all these new tracks in and analyze them, it'll go into this unknown artist, sort of like it'll go into this unknown artist folder, and then I'll read them on the decks. So I analysed it. I put the stick in the decks, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Full stop. Like it wouldn't read them on the decks. It's like the folder was too big for the decks to read like every track that was in them. So I couldn't work out at first why this wasn't happening. So what I did was I went back on the computer, and I removed the location of the folder and changed the name of the folder just to see if it would work that way. And it picked up the folder on the decks, but it still didn't pick up the new tracks. And I didn't think any more of it. And then obviously putting them into the decks in a nightclub, it's the original location of where the folder was has been moved. So I think because there was still that folder on the stick, it was showing that it was loading like the folders up, but because I'd moved where the location was, it was almost like it wasn't picking them up, and I think that's the reason why, because I've moved all these tracks, like over 900 tracks or something, like from specific analysed order that there was in. And I think that's why I was having trouble loading the tracks, because the new ones I'd put in, like I was putting in these new tracks, and they was reading them fine, but all these old ones that had been put in this moved folder, it wasn't reading them, and I think that was the conclusion, that these tracks that you couldn't read them, and I think that's why they were struggling to load. So because obviously with me sort of like changing the plan of the set, I obviously was gonna dive into some other folders where I knew I had some more like some more good like sing along tunes, and I just thought, you know what, that'll be a really good sort of like vibe. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is completely wipe the stick, and then I'm just going to have to like reanalyze the folders back on there again, so everything is sort of like back in its right place, and then it will obviously load the tunes, and then there should be sort of like no issue, because at the time, like, tunes are popping in my head, and I'm thinking, yeah, that'd go down well, and then I'm clicking on it, and then it's like it won't load it. And I couldn't think at the time why, and that was obviously that was the issue why, sadly. But other than that sort of like little issue, the set went down really well. People loved it. I got some really nice feedback from my set. So after I'd done my set, there was a lot of nice people saying, like, you absolutely smashed that set. I even had Dowling, whose birthday it was, saying, like, you played a blinder with that set, and I just thought, like, obviously I'm pleased for myself that I've done well, but the main thing for me is the buzz of knowing that other people have enjoyed the set. Because you can think yourself that you've done a banging set, but when you're playing in a club, it's all about entertaining, the crowd and stuff, and I could have gone and just followed the plan of what I'd planned at home, and I could have gone into some of these like harder tunes, and I could have gone and played something a little bit harder, and maybe that sounds a little bit faster as well. But I just thought, this is the crowd that they like all the sing along stuff. So I thought, that's what they like. Because I have a Groove Control remix of the it's Hey Girl, Hey Boy. I can't remember who does it now. I don't know if it was it Do you know what? Like, my mind's gone blank. I'm gonna like literally just. Chemical Brothers. That was it. Chemical Brothers. So yeah, so I had a remix of them. Um, but it was like a groove control version, and it's got a little bit of a heavier edge to it. And I just thought, if I played that, people might not necessarily like it too much. So that's why I chose more like, yeah, like, Heaven is a Place on Earth, and days like that. I played the Ultra Beat I Wanna Touch You because I thought, it's clublandy, it's commercially, people to an extent, that they will know it. Um, I could only play so much vocally stuff because of the issue with the stick, but I just tried to stay away from going like mega hard. I played a remix of the Corner Shop, Brimful of Asher, the Critical Mass version, and I just thought, they'll know this stuff and they'll sing along to it, and I just thought that was better than obviously going a little bit too hard. So the set went really well, and this is for me by far. This is the set that I've got the most footage of as well. Loads of one guy especially, massive shout to Matt Rich, but he has taken video after video of my set. So I found out yesterday that he'd taken 2 videos, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, big ups, nice guy. So I put them in a Facebook video downloader and put them along with the video clips that I got of my set, because I got some nice clips as well. And then I got tagged in a post today in the Retribution group, and to find out that that this Matt Rich had put a post up in the group, and it was all the videos that he had taken from the night, and there is literally so many videos of my set. There's like literally a good 8 videos just of different parts of my set, including the 2 that I'd already got from yesterday. But there's like literally some really good videos to the point where I will be able to make a part 2. So I'll make a part 2 of these of my set, and then you can see a little bit more of what went down. But I felt so blessed. I felt so, because I do a lot of sets, and yourself, when you're DJing yourself, you don't always get time to take videos yourself, and that was kind of like the annoying thing, that you don't always get chance yourself, to do that kind of thing. So it was obviously a buzz, that someone had taken like so many videos of my set, that I could literally like sort of like have these memories, some real good memories of it as well. Not just a few little clips of me, that I've tried to take myself. These are like stuff where it kind of gives you a good view of the crowd. Videos that contain where you can see the MC on the mic, and then it pans sort of like back to me, and you can see me in action on the decks, and it was just a really good sort of vibe in itself. So I was really buzzed that I was given that sort of like these memories of the set. And it's by far for me, it's definitely an event I played where I've been sent the most amount of videos, or tagged in the most amount of videos of my set. There's even one, I'm on the mic as well. I went on the mic as well, which I really enjoyed. That was a really fun vibe as well. I've got to say, hats off to Dowling. he's I've gone up against some MCs in my time, and I've always sort of not to big myself up, but I've always kind of like sort of gone with I guess like a faster flow. Like I've always been able to spit like faster than like other some of the other MCs have. But this guy Dowling, when he gets going with his syllables, like I do one which is a lyrical miracle sick individual, and I can spit that like quite quick, like syllables. But he's really good at syllables, and I've just got to give it to him. Like I tried to go against him in that sense, like not as a battle as such, but he was going fast. So I thought I'd come in and go fast, and I just thought, you know what, yeah, you've got it there. Like I can't compete, but it was a good vibe. It was a good vibe. So yeah, really good vibes, like all round with the whole event. So a massive shout to Steve Collins for booking me for the event. It was actually a pleasure. It was not what I expected it was going to be, and this is not me like trying to run events down, but I just didn't expect the vibe to be as good as it was. It actually blew me away at how good the vibe was. It was a really good vibe. So, it was really enjoyable in that sense. So, yeah. So that was Retribution. So, I'll just touch up before I do cut off the stream a little bit about why I got a lift down to another event. So the layman, he was at a festival all day, and but then he'd been invited down to the Has event in Milton Keynes. And if you're into your UK hardcore and you haven't heard about this event, then you need your head testing. So has put on one event only this year, and they'd gone all out on the lineup, and you don't see lineups like what they'd put very often. There's very few events that that don't put like really good lineups out, and what Hazard done something very special, and for me, I believe I 100% believe that this is why the event sold out, because the event sold out, and hardcore events selling out in 2023 is not a big thing. Like you don't see it all the time. You don't see it much at all. Richard Hanna with the Rave Escape, he does really good with his events. Actually, he gets the warehouse absolutely rammed. And I think his event actually did, his event actually did sell out. In sense, but a lot of events. Hardcore, likes of Stomping, they put like hard on, but they don't come anywhere near, to selling out. They don't get like busy like some of these other events do, and but what Has did with their event, what Hazard done with their event was they'd done something special, and they'd done something that hadn't been done. Um, they just did something that hadn't been done for a very very long time. And like I say again, this is why I believe that they this is why I believe that they sold out. And what they did is they actually put two artists on the lineup to go B to B, and these two artists have not been back to back in probably about 7 years, I don't think. And there was a big inspiration to hardcore through the 2000s, and there was by far what got me into UK hardcore. And they put Dougal and Gamma B2B for the first time in like 7 years, and they had WizKid on the mic. Now, in the early 2000s and going all the way through to like the mid sort of, even to the late 2000s, going sort of as far as like 2012, 2013, 14, that kind of thing. Um, events like HDID, Fantasy Island, Hardcore Heaven, Dougal and Gamma B2B with WizKid on the mic, or just Gamma on his own with WizKid on the mic. It was a big deal, and there was a great combination, and I think Gamma, Dougal and WizKid were like the combination. Like if you was gonna put Dougal and Gamma on a set, like I just think I mean, don't get me wrong, like you did have like Storm would do the set sometimes, and you would get like Watsy has done a Gamma set before, and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, like it happens, but it just, to me, it feels like WizKid is like the main man to do it. WizKid also did a lot of vocals for Dougal and Gamma tracks as well. He did the All My Life. He did another one with Gamma called I think We Came We Saw. It might be called Killed the Rave. That was another good one. But he's done even WizKid did like intros for like the True Hardcore album as well, which was a big thing as well. So, when it was a lot of people's inspiration during the 2000s, and the Dougal and Gamma tunes were like a big part of UK hardcore. When they don't duo no more, and then they reunite as a duo, and Has puts them on an event B2B with WizKid on the mic. I'm not being funny, but you've sold your event out right there. Do you know what I mean? And then not only that, but they put Psy and Scott Brown B2B as well, which and that in itself was another good combination. Would have been even better if it was a Psy and Unknown. Don't get me wrong, but Psy and Scott Brown, like, because they're old school as well, and they're from the era, Evolution and Quash Records. They were both big labels at the time, and there was both labels were producing their own sort of like wicked sounds and their own tracks, and Psy and Unknown were doing some absolutely belting tunes, and Scott Brown was doing his own magic, and they was a good B2B in themselves. And then you had Rob IYF that was B2B with Al Storm, and they're doing so many great current tracks at the moment that was just another sort of like good B2B to have in itself. And then there was the Has crew themselves, and then there was James K, which was just a great little warming up set, I think it was. And yeah, they just absolutely nailed it with the lineup. The Dougal, the Gamma, the Psy, and Scott Brown, and the Al Storm and the Rob IYF. It was just a really great combination, because you kind of had the old school hardcore, which was like the early 2000s. So the late 90s, early 2000s, with the Psy and the Scott Brown, and then you had the Dougal and Gamma, which was kind of like the 2005 onwards, a little bit earlier, but they was sort of big, sort of around 2005, sort of onwards, around 2010, Essential Platinum, with tracks like Trust in Me, All the Tears I've Cried, Lose Me Forever, Monster, and all the other great tracks, there was obviously doing, that was a big influence there. And then you've got the Al Storm and the Rob IYF, who doing current tracks now, and producing for 24/7, and they've done some great tracks together themselves, and they're always in the studio making stuff. So it was obviously one of them sort of like, they've done it was a really sort of like strong lineup, and each set sort of gave like a different era of hardcore, like with Desai and Scott Brown being like that sort of older stuff, and then you sort of Dougal and Gamut, it's sort of taking you back to like the 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, and then sort of the Al Storm and Rob IYF sort of taking you through sort of like some of the current sounds, and the more sort of like future hardcore with the big heavy leads and stuff. So it was just in general, it was just a really good sort of combination for an event. And I was gutted that I was going to miss the event, and then when the layman said, look, I could pick you up and we'll drive down there, I was like, do you know what? Yeah, it'd be nice to go and show my face, and it'd be nice to come and, go and support the event. And like I say, sadly, I actually missed the Dougal and Gamma set, which was a real gutting shame for me, because, that was sort of like one set that I really wanted to, witness. But sadly, I just didn't get the time. It was a good 2 hour drive as it was from Wakefield to get to the event. So we sort of caught towards the back end of the event, but it was it was still good to see a lot of people and show our faces, and it was just one of them things. I was quite tempted before I got my booking to to actually try and travel to that event, but then just a lot of things happened. Like, I thought, well, the layman's not at the event, he's somewhere else, so I'd have to find somewhere to stay. The train down there is probably going to be quite expensive in itself, and it was just one of them where I thought, you know what, like it's going to cost quite a lot. But then when the layman sort of like, I'll drive down there and we'll catch a bit of the event, it sort of made up for it. So there you go. So anyway, I'm going to cut from the stream. It's getting late. I've actually got to go into work tomorrow, and we're back filming for Hull Enders. If you've not been watching that, head over to the layman on Facebook and watch it. Most definitely recommend that you watch them all, and then watch the most recent one. If you've seen the previous ones and you've not yet seen the most recent one, then go and see the most recent one, because the most recent one is probably, I'd say, where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. So the first episode was kind of like this, what is this, what's happening? People weren't really sure, like, is it what's going on? And then the second episode, it kind of gave you a little bit more insight. I got punched in it, so it was a little bit more fun. It gave people a bit of excitement, and people was a little bit sort of like, yeah, this is good, I like this, I want to see what happens next. And then the third episode was a little bit, not too much happened. It was a little bit, maybe not as interesting as the previous episode, so maybe a little bit of a letdown, but it was an episode that needed to happen, and nevertheless it was still an enjoyable one to watch. And then the fourth episode, which it went up yesterday, it gets a little bit more sort of like juicy and exciting, and it gives people again a little bit more insight into the story, and it's hopefully going to get people more interested, and a lot of people are interested in seeing what's going down. So but yeah, we've had 1,558 reach on the episode that went out yesterday, and we are smashing it with the Hull Enders. So if you haven't seen them, go onto Facebook, type in the Layman, or go onto Facebook and type in Hull Enders as well, and you'll see that that there's an actual page now, and you can, we put the episodes on the page as well once they've gone up on the Layman, and sort of any news about Hull Enders, like anything that you need to know, we essentially reveal the information on the Hull Enders page, so you can click on it and you'll get a good insight into you'll get a good insight to what's going on, sort of thing, in that sense. And yeah, it's good. It's good. It's there's a really good vibe to it. So we put stuff like new episode today at 7 p.m. and stuff. It's just a really good way of getting up to date with what's going on. So yeah, make sure to like, comment, share, and we'll see you next time.